A meteorite impacting with Earth.
So there's a lot of material that falls on the Earth from outer space. Tons and tons of this material falls on the Earth every day. And most of them are very small, just like dust. Some of them are pebbles, and they make shooting stars in the atmosphere. And sometimes a really big meteorite hits the ground at very, very high speed. It melts the ground, it vaporizes the ground, and these high temperatures and pressures are enough to melt a huge quantity of rock.
If the molten rock formed by a meteorite impact cools rapidly, it can turn into glass.
There are, for example, these glasses here. They're called tektites, and they are thrown away from impact by hundreds and even thousands of kilometers from the crater. But these glasses are very different in appearance and shape and size from the desert glass that we have here.
Kerbel is a world expert on meteorites. And even though the desert glass is so different from ordinary meteoritic glass, he is convinced it must have been formed by a meteorite. He hopes to find evidence of a massive meteorite impact in the desert. They still have one more day of driving before they can even start looking for any glass or any signs of what occurred. They are now in the heart of the Great Sand Sea. It's one of the most arid, inhospitable places on Earth. No one can live here. It can be 10 to 20 years between rainfalls. Extreme conditions even for the Sahara.
We go a little further down.
We are here.
And on this one here.
We are here. Yeah. And then the glass area is all this area. We'll camp at the end of the rocks and the sand here. Right. Like that, we'll make the camp sort of in the middle of the high concentration of the big glass.
Just one.
Yeah, 25 or 5.
Not this.
Summer temperatures can soar to well over 50 degrees Celsius. There are no roads, no tracks. The massive parallel sand dunes stretch for hundreds of kilometers north-south. Each dune is a challenge, and without highly skilled drivers, the cars could easily overturn as they slide down the soft sand. At last, they are approaching the area where the glass is found. One of the mysteries about the glass is that it's scattered over an area as big as Devon.
The site to me looks like Mars. I don't think there's any place on Earth that's this desolate, certainly no place I've ever been.
The glass is not thick on the ground, but pieces can be found scattered between the dunes.
I'd seen pictures of the glass before, but the first time I reached down and picked up a piece and held it up to the sun, it was very exciting.
No one knows how much glass is in the desert, Estimates range from hundreds to thousands of tons.
Oh, here's a piece. Yeah, look at this. There's a nice one. And another one. So this is an area, and look down here on the ground. You can actually see it. If you look here, you see the nice pieces lying around here. There is a piece here. There's a piece there. There's a piece over there.
Most of the glass lying on the surface is small and rounded, sandblasted and polished by the sand and the wind. Other pieces are buried in the sand and are much larger and rougher.
This one here is mostly pitted and dull because it has been sitting underground, and only the nice smooth shiny part was exposed to the sand, and underground it has been etched by water over hundreds or even thousands of years.
New pieces of glass can always be found, as the huge sand dunes are constantly shifting with the wind, moving at a staggering 10 meters a year.
It's interesting, every time you come here you find different glass.
There's certainly glass under the dunes.
There's certainly glass
And
under
so,
the dunes.
as these
the
dunes
move,
they
more
reveal
glass
more
is
glass.
exposed indeed, yeah. So it's a very beautiful area too.
Yeah.
Although there are no obvious signs of meteorite impact, Barakat thinks there is some evidence, not in the glass, but in the rocks. On a previous trip, he found an unusual little black rock.
I collected it by chance. I found it by chance. I was looking for glass, and I found this strange, shiny black material. So it seems strange for me. So I carried to Cairo and did some tests.
And tests in Cairo revealed that tiny, shiny particles in the rock were diamonds. Similar diamonds have been found elsewhere where meteorites have landed, created by the high temperatures and pressures during the impact. Barakat is now searching for more signs of an impact in the sandstone rocks in the area. A large meteorite smashing into the ground leaves behind other clues. Under the microscope, the tiny grains of quartz, which this sandstone is mostly made of, are usually clear inside. But Barakat and others have found samples where some of the quartz grains have distinctive lines caused by shock waves from an impact. This seems to provide more support for a meteorite impact here in the Sahara Desert. But it doesn't explain why the glass is so different from other meteoritic glass. The team can't agree about the significance of this evidence.
I'm really interested in the distribution of the shocked quartz relative to the glass.
Right.
Seems like the glass covers an area of hundreds of square kilometers, but it seems like the observation of shocked quartz is only in one spot.
Right, yeah. Well, I'm not sure that we know for sure yet where the shocked quartz is. There are a few spots that have been surveyed so far and needs to be confirmed. You see any glass?
But Kerbal thinks he has made a discovery, which leaves no doubt as to the origin of the glass.
Orientation.
I see the
But I think
bedding.
this sandstone is broken up.
Most of the glass is completely clear, but a few pieces are not.
There's a nice little
The
piece.
ones that show clear,
Yeah.
white, and black all
Yes.
in one piece.
The pieces of glass with black streaks of material inside are key to Kerbal's discovery. To establish what the material trapped in the glass was made of, Kerbal examined it in his lab in Vienna. He analyzed it by bombarding the black bits of the glass with neutrons, and after weeks of measurements found small traces of the exotic element iridium.
Here are the peaks that indicate the presence of the element iridium, and this is something we would not expect to find in rocks on the surface of the Earth, and this is characteristic for meteorites. So here we have very good evidence that a meteorite really hit the Earth and was incorporated with the glass when it formed.
Finding iridium is good, but not conclusive evidence of a meteorite impact. After over a year of searching, Kerbal found another rare element, osmium.
The results are absolutely exciting. We see that the abundance of the element osmium is about 50 to 100 times higher than what we would ever find on the surface of the Earth. And more importantly, the ratios of the isotopes of osmium are very different from surface rocks of the Earth. They are clearly extraterrestrial and show that a meteorite hit the surface of the Earth and the sand when the desert class formed. So we have a eureka moment here. We now know there was a meteorite impact.
Kerbel is now totally convinced that a meteorite was involved in forming the glass. But there was an obvious problem with the meteorite theory. Perhaps the biggest problem of all. A meteorite impact leaves behind a crater. And no one has ever found any trace of a crater in the area where the glass is found. For Kerbel, the lack of a crater doesn't create a problem. He has an easy answer.
I think what we're looking at is probably a very deeply eroded structure. A fresh young crater looks maybe like this, and it is filled in here with broken bits of rock and melt and so on. But with time, all this disappears, and all that we might have left is this central area here, which is very difficult to detect.